Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 7 o'clock. That means it's Chiefs Kingdom Live time. Thank you so much to everybody who's joining us. Click like, click subscribe, tell a friend, tell a family member. We'd appreciate it. If you're in the chat, send us a question, send us a comment, be part of the show. That makes it a lot more fun for everybody. We got a good show planned for tonight. Lots to talk about. Getting right up to the end of the season, playoff football right around the corner. So we'll obviously break down the game against the Denver Broncos on Sunday. We will look ahead to the game in Las Vegas against the Raiders, talk some playoff picture. Anything else y'all want to talk about? Like I said, just shoot us a comment or a question. We'll try to get it worked in. Fellas, Bo, Nick, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Jinx. I'm good. Just enjoying a birthday with my little girl. She turned 5 today, so happy birthday. And just back to work after the break and everything. Just living life. How about you, Bo?
Yeah, doing good. Celebrated the new year with some friends here in Colorado. Got to go skiing, so life was pretty good. Got to celebrate a Chiefs win on the mountain, so life wasn't bad at all.
Nice.
Daddy?
Nice. Yeah, no, it was good. New Year's was good, uneventful, just chilled, got some days off work, got some things done around the house. Just relaxed and took it easy, really. So looks like we got Brenda saying hello. Good to see you, Brenda. Thanks for joining us as always. Got John Man.
Hey, guys.
John C., I can see him in the comments there. Good to see you, John. Your prize pack, your Travis Kelce prize pack is on the way. I think it said
up in Colorado.
Yeah, I think it said it should be delivered tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. Let us know if it doesn't show up by the end of the week, John. We need to make sure we get that to you. So yeah, let's just start with the scary situation on Monday Night Football with the Bills and Damar Hamlin. Scary situation. We've had some time now where getting some good news from the family about his progress in the hospital. I don't know about you guys or if you were watching the game or not, but that was scary as hell, man.
Yeah,
I was like standing up, walking around my house a little bit, like I was just like gripping, man, and just really worried about that young dude. It was scary as hell. But again, like I said, all the news that's coming out here recently in the last day or so is all good. So we'll just keep, thoughts and prayers for that young man. Makes a full comeback. The day before that, Chiefs played the Denver Broncos at Arrowhead Stadium. Before we get into details, player performances, we'll go around the horn here and talk about just kind of our overall thought about the game, how we felt. Bo, what'd you think about the game Sunday against the Broncos?
Dude, I just want a stress-free Chiefs game, especially against an opponent where they should just dominate them completely. It's just one of those games, right? We say it all the time that we're notorious for playing down to some other team's level, and I feel like we did that. I mean, we gave up a couple points, an interception in the red zone, and a turnover on special teams. But man, we could have played those guys so much better. It's always good to get a win, especially this late in the season. And 13 wins is nothing to balk at. I'm so proud of these guys, and I'll take a win. But it just feels like we could have done way better offensive wise. Defense had another great game. I felt like they stepped up when they needed to, especially some of the rookies. But yeah, win's a win. We're moving on to Las Vegas. So I guess, hey, that's what about you, Nick?
Yeah, my wife and I actually went to the game. We got Scott's tickets from him, and we went. So was hoping for a blowout party at Arrowhead. Didn't turn out that way, overall impressions of the game, same thing I've been harping on this show for the last several weeks is turnovers, man. This team just, when they turn the ball over, it makes for stressful football times.
Yeah,
and then also just special teams, as you go back and you look at some of the losses we've had to the Bengals and the Bills, you look and you're like, yeah, we had missed field goals in those games. We had a muffed hold that cost us a point. Had a missed field goal after another, amazing Chiefs less sub 15-second field goal position drive it to end a half of football, missed or blocked. It just, we had a muff punt. So really just the things that beat the Chiefs or, almost get the Chiefs beat always seem to be things that they kind of do to themselves. But that said, let's not detract from, the fact that we beat the Broncos 15 times in a row now.
Yeah.
We beat the Broncos 15 times in a row in your life? I mean, when we were growing up, it was like we went a decade or more in the Marty Schottenheimer era and previous to that, where we didn't even win in Denver. So that coupled with, the second tied for the second best record in franchise history, we've only won more than 13 games one other season. So, just there's plenty of positives. And the good news is that this team, even though they do make some mistakes, they still seem to figure out a way to come out on top. So,
yeah, it was Brenda's got, hit the nail on the head. Just stress-free Chiefs games these days are hard to come by. So, Chiefs were up by 10 points in the fourth quarter, and they still, we'll get into how that drive penalties again, and third down, fourth down. But anyway, just overall thoughts about the game. We did predictions last week, and I predicted the Chiefs to win easily. They didn't. So
to say the least,
they didn't.
Woo, were we wrong?
Broken records. So let's just break it down. Let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly from the game. Chiefs, they played well, but Nick, you talked about the turnovers. Chiefs are moving the ball well. Defense was they were giving up some third and fourth down conversions there early, but Chiefs are up. They're looking like they're about to go up by 2 scores and a Patrick Mahomes interception in the end zone. What did you see from Patrick on that play? I know overall the guy had a terrific, another 300-yard plus game with 3 touchdowns. He said after the game he was disappointed. Yeah, after the game he said he was disappointed in his performance. Felt like he missed MVS on a few throws. We'll get to those here in a minute. But the early interception, Nick, what do you think Patrick was doing there? What was the thought process? What happened?
I think he was just trying to force the ball, right? You didn't see a lot out of Watson to try to defend that pass, which was kind of disappointing. And Scott will attest that I'm not like a blame the refs guy. However, on that drive, when they were there, I think it was the play before, there was an obvious pass interference in the end zone not called that should have given them first and goal at the 1. Now it's 3rd and 10 from the 10, right? They got to, score a touchdown, and he forces the ball in. So it's a bad decision by Patrick. Great play by the defender to catch the ball. Subpar play by Watson to not try to get in there and break it up. I mean, worst case, just tackle the guy, right? And then you guys can kick the field goal or play the down over again. But it was just a rough decision by Patrick. He seems to have those against the Broncos. So whatever it is about the Broncos, sometimes he forces the ball in, but it was unfortunate to see that we went from where we should have been at first and goal to forcing the ball on 3rd down and get 0 points out of it. Not the way that we wanted the day to go for sure. Bo, what do you think?
No, yeah, I agree completely. That play kind of looked like he was scrambling a little bit, right? So I just feel like he knows that he can force some stuff sometimes, and you can see what he was trying to do. Is one of those plays that, you just miss it by a couple inches. That's what happened. And I feel like that's what he did. He just underthrew it instead of, making sure he threw it out of the end zone kind of thing. He just wanted the touchdown so bad. And That's why the people harp on mechanics, right? Because most people can't make those throws from that position, whereas normally he makes that 9 out of 10 times. That was just the one time that he underthrows it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, disappointing to see because I mean, the opening drive and then that drive, they were looking so well too, right? Like they just looked poised, calm, collected. They looked surgical again. And so, yeah, I mean, it was kind of like a momentum killer because I kind of feel like our offense kind of sputtered out a little bit after that. I mean, we put some stuff together later in the game, obviously, but man, it was a rough go after that.
Sorry, I got a little bit of wind here going on. The house shaking. Thought the wall's about to blow over. Yeah, it looked like he maybe should have put a little bit more air on it. Watching the replay, Watson really wasn't that close to the defender. That would have been maybe a little bit tougher play than I thought initially for him to get in there and try to help break it up. But, yeah, you know, you mentioned the missed pass interference on first down, and then they missed Juju on the second down of that drive, so it's 3rd and goal. Patrick is going. You know, with Patrick, the amount of times that he makes the magic play on 3rd down, it's almost like I don't mind him gambling the 3 for the 6 there, or the 7, right? Like, the dude's going to get the touchdown so often, you're costing yourself 3 points, which you don't want to do. And you know, if playoff time comes around, or when playoff time comes around, those 3 points probably a lot more important. But I don't want to be too hard on the guy because sometimes you have to take the bad with the good, right? When you play on the edge, sometimes you step over a little too far. But other than that, there really wasn't anything to complain about. Nick texted me after the batted pass completed back to himself, and then he ran. And, of course, the referees hosed him out of the first down. Dude, if you think it's close, give him the first down. That's an amazing play. Nick texted me, said, didn't take long to see one of them Mahomes plays at the game.
No, it did not.
Got to witness Mahomes' first receiving catch in the NFL there.
Yeah. Crazy play where ball gets batted and he catches it and runs around the edge of the line and picks up 8 or 9 yards. Should have got 10 yards. That was a first down, but didn't give it to him. He had some nice throws, met some nice plays. That one throw to Kadarius Toney was a nice catch by Toney, but he put it out there where only Toney could get to it, and Toney caught it, made another nice throw there. The first touchdown to McKinnon, which we'll talk about the 1-2 punch of Pacheco and McKinnon here in a few minutes. But
what's up, Tony?
He's what's up, Tony? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining us, man. That touchdown pass, the first one he threw to McKinnon, he's like under duress, and they kind of squirted McKinnon there between the guard and the tackle. Awesome play design. That was a lot harder throw than it looked like, especially if you watch the replay, watch it a few times.
Right. Yeah.
Mahomes they brought a blitzer off the edge on the left side of the line that was completely unblocked, and Wiley looked like maybe he whiffed a little bit on his guy on the right side of the line there at the right tackle position. Patrick's under duress, floats it over 2 defenders, rushing right in his face to McKinnon for the first touchdown. I mean, the dude, the throw to Watson on the sideline to get us in the field goal range, although we did miss the field goal like Nick mentioned. He makes 3 or 4 plays every game where your jaw just drops and you just, it's almost like you don't believe what you're seeing. What else did you all see, Nick, out of Patrick Mahomes in that game?
Well, you know, it was cool to be there in person to see him eclipse 5,000 passing yards for the season, which was a amazing feat. You know, he had 5,000 yards and 40 touchdown passes, which I think is only, you know, been done twice by Drew Brees. So to be there for that was cool. It's amazing to see a guy that you're like, you feel like he's a little off. And then, you know, I texted Scott, I said, yeah, he just missed some plays today. And Scott said, well, he had 68% completions and 320 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He seemed off, though.
And he should have had 500 yards, you know, that's the standard though for Patrick, right? Is that
right.
you even when he has just a fantastic game, you just still feel like, man, he did actually leave some out on the field. And that was his feeling afterwards. But look, I'll take it. If that's a down day, 320 and 3 touchdowns and a pick is like when you're off, then let's go, man. Let's get it. So
No, yeah, dude. Like that guy never ceases to impress. I'm becoming so complacent just watching him pull off some of the stuff that you like. If it's no look passes to shovel passes to just everything that he does is just it's phenomenal to be a part of witnessing this era of football. I think he's changing the game, dude. He's setting new standards for what a quarterback needs to be. He's making the entire league plan against him. It's just phenomenal watching this kid play. I couldn't agree more that like he did look a little off though, man. Like for this is like one of my complaints my two complaints of this game was special teams and like our offense just kind of not really stepping on the gas a little bit. But yeah, when you look at the stats, you're like, man, I guess we're just being spoiled little Chiefs fans now, I guess.
Definitely spoiled with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. John brings up a good point here. I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on the misses to MVS. To me, it looked like on the one where MVS had the defender beat down the left sideline, it looked to me like he slowed down on the route. I don't know. Did you see it that way? Did you think Patrick overthrew him? Nick?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think he overthrew him because he slowed down, and I think that both players made the mistake there, if that makes any sense. They're just not – there's something about Mahomes and MVS where they don't seem like they're on the same page. You see Travis Kelce make the thing, make the decision that Patrick's going to make, and you see like Jerick McKinnon on the crazy, flip underhand against the Broncos in the game before, right? Just kind of – sensing what Patrick's going to do. Tyreek Hill, that's a touchdown, right? And not just because he's faster. It's a touchdown because he doesn't slow down and Patrick hits him and it's a touchdown. And so
he's faster.
Not his fault necessarily. There's just something about those two guys where they just don't seem like they're reading each other, right? And I don't know if that'll get better, but it's been the whole season now, right? And so it's kind of disturbing. Because they've drawn up the plays that give you the home runs and they're just not cashing in for whatever reason. So,
right, Bo, the misses with MVS. What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, I think Nick hit it exactly right, man. I think it was just a little bit of error on both, right? Little slow down and a little overthrown, and then I don't know the underthrown one that he had. I feel like that was an underthrown ball, and I think Patrick admitted to that too. But yeah, Nick couldn't be more right, man. I just don't feel like they've melded the same way a lot of these other receivers have immediately, like Juju and Kadarius have just come in and like immediately got what's going on. It's just some reason that spark's just missing. Mix that in with a couple of the drops that he has. I just don't know if Patrick has the same confidence in that guy as everybody else. And it kind of, I don't know. It just shows.
Right.
Nick
MVS is no cheetah. Okay, there was people that were saying that he had the fastest clock speed in a game last year, even faster than Tyreek Hill, and he brings the speed aspect. We're losing with Tyreek Hill. That guy is not as fast as Tyreek Hill. Definitely not in the game in pads. Football speed is fast. This was the issue with MVS when he was with Green Bay. His target percentage, his catch percentage when targeted was down around 50%. And it just seems like when they throw the ball to him, when Patrick throws, there's just something off. And he just doesn't. It seems like he catches about half of the passes thrown his way. And with the way Patrick is in sync with the other guys and with the way Patrick seems to always put the ball where other people can catch it, he's the outlier, right? Where it seems like he struggles to be in the right spot or seems to struggle to do the right thing or like Nick said, to get on the same page with Patrick. So I lay more of the blame at the feet of MVS than Patrick Mahomes. Maybe that's not great analysis. It's been frustrating. I don't know if the Chiefs can move on from him at the end of the year. I don't really know the way his deal is structured. but would like to see those guys at least get on the same page or closer to the same page come playoff time. But
there's weird stats with MVS though, right? Like I think he has on the team the most catches over 20 yards, right? And then like he has some like ridiculous stats where you're just like, oh, well, shit, he kind of is a weapon a little bit, right? But like, I think we just want him to be as consistent as Travis Kelce, man, or you know what I mean, somebody like that, and because you can see what kind of threat he actually could be.
Yeah, he brings speed, and he can get open. But like I said, if you don't find a way to catch the ball when it's thrown your way, that really doesn't really do the team a whole lot of good. But yeah. Otherwise, Patrick Mahomes was just another ho-hum 303 touchdown day out of him. The running game,
15th Bronco defeat for number 15.
right. Yeah, 15 for 15 against the Broncos. We'll get to that here in a minute. The running backs, Pacheco had a rushing touchdown, nice 5 or 6 yard grinding touchdown run there at the goal line early in the game, first quarter.
Yeah.
Jarrett McKinnon with 2 more touchdown catches. He's the first running back in the modern NFL era to have a receiving touchdown in 5 straight games. I want to say he's got like 6 or 7 touchdowns in that 5-game stretch. It's too bad John V's not in here right now. If our buddy Tony's still watching, though, he knows about old tired legs.
Old tired legs McKinnon.
Those guys are playing good. What were you seeing out of the running backs in this game that you liked, Bo?
What I liked was their effort, and then like the fact that you pointed out that we got a good running touchdown. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a sweep out with just like key blocks. Like that was Pacheco earned that, and I love to see that kind of rushing touchdown. And then McKinnon being the all-star that he is, I would just like to see it used more during the game. Like I feel like, man, I love Patrick Mahomes throwing, but said like just beat a dead horse. You're like, we've said that if you use the run game way more, it opens up your entire playbook, and then you can just have your way with the defense, right? And I feel like they just got away from the run game this game, and that was kind of, I don't know, kind of our demise there a little bit, but yeah, he sure is. Let's just say he stopped talking trash football wise about 6 years ago. hasn't really been as active on the old chat there.
Yeah, I was talking to old Derek on text message back and forth earlier in the week because we were coordinating how he was going to get me my winnings from the 20 to Life Dynasty Fantasy Football League that I won. And he was talking about football, and he said, man, he's like, this last World Cup has just ruined American football for me this year. It's just so slow. And I was thinking, bro, your team suck, and they probably did more to ruin American football than the World Cup. But that probably has more to do with being a Broncos fan. I rubbed that in a little bit. That felt good. But the running game. 2 things I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on. There was a lot of people on Twitter that were questioning the play calling. I want to say at one point the Chiefs had run like 20 pass plays and 3 or 4 runs. To me, they were averaging less than 3 yards per carry in that game. The run game just wasn't there. That there weren't holes. Guys were not moving the ball, running it. And after the game, they asked Coach Reed about it. He said, well, there was a lot of run fronts, and they were playing to stop the runs, so we were trying to, take what they were giving us and not play into, to their game plan there. Did you think the Chiefs ran the ball too little? Would you like to see some more runs there in that game, Bo?
Oh yeah, dude, definitely. Like obvious. I would love to see them run the ball more, especially Tony's bringing it up here. Why did it take them so long to start using McKinnon? Yeah, Tony, we've been talking about that out here for 4 or 5 weeks now. Once they discovered that McKinnon Pacheco 1-2 punch, how lethal it's been for them, and I would really just like to see him really lean into that and get people more focused on that aspect of our football game than just spying Mahomes and cover 2 defenses and stuff like that. I mean, it's right there for the taking, especially with all the looks the defenses are giving us to just run the ball all day. What about you, Nick? What are you seeing?
The other answer to Tony's question is because we have a first-round draft pick that wasn't on IR yet, is why why it took them so long.
That's a big
Because
part of it.
one of the great things about the Chiefs is they don't lose faith in people quickly. But one of the awful things about the Chiefs is they also don't lose faith in people for a really long time.
Right.
So sometimes it just takes something, unfortunately, like an injury for them to say, oh, yeah, no, Jerick McKinnon, that dude that lit it up in the playoffs for us last year. But the other thing is maybe, he's an older guy now. He's what, 30 years old? And that's kind of reaching that cliff for his position. So maybe they were saving him for later in the season too. I'm just a dumb guy on the internet. I'm not a NFL coach. So maybe that's part of the plan to save McKinnon for later in the season. I'm kind of with you, Scott, where, the offense being stifled in the second half, you're sitting there and you're like, well, maybe they should have ran more. But man, when they were running earlier in the game, it sure didn't look like they're getting much out of it. Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're freezing up, and your audio's got a little bit of static going on. I don't know if maybe you got a bad connection or something going on. If you
okay, hold on, let me reconnect.
Yep. Tony. Back to Tony's point. There's been an issue with injury history, and all jokes aside, the stamina issue of him, where when he was with the 49ers, he looked like he was made a little gassed there at the end of the season, and he said his legs were tired, and that's where the old tired legs joke comes. So maybe there was a little bit of saving him, keeping him fresh for later in the year. A big part of it is what Nick mentioned. Clyde Edwards-Helaire kind of forced the Chiefs' hand into playing McKinnon more once Clyde went out, he wasn't an awful third down back pass blocker, but he was better than Pacheco. And the Chiefs, I think, are worried about Pacheco's run blocking ability, pass protection. So, I think it's just probably a confluence of those two or three things. The reason we didn't see him till later in the year, but he's turned it on, and he's doing things at the running back position that have never been done before. It's a vital part of this offense, and as we get into the playoffs, they're going to have to keep that up. After the game, he was talking about it, and he kind of was giving credit, which you like to see, to the other guys around him. He goes, man, when you got so many guys on this team drawing attention, when you got Travis Kelce and you got Juju out there and you got MVS stretching the defense and guys are keying on, they can't just key on me. He says it opens up a lot of opportunities, and I'm just trying to take advantage of my opportunities as they present themselves. And he's done a fantastic job at that. But looks like we got Nick back. Yeah, Tony, that's could be true. A little playoff secret weapon. He was the secret weapon in the playoffs last year. He came in and crushed.
Yeah. I just think, dude, with like the reason they didn't go with Pacheco so soon is just because he was untested, 7th round pick, rookie. Just like, I mean, we kind of saw it, like we saw the spark, but it's interesting being an observer, seeing it only week to week, once a week, versus them being in the grind, seeing them in the mix, seeing, work ethic at practice and how the guy just operates in general. I think that's why it took so long for him to get that role.
Yeah,
he did get a carry too. I texted Scott during the game. I was like, they just say Rojo? Did they just mispronounce McKinnon for some reason?
Yeah, well, they did. So Rojo got a touch early, and then McKinnon got a touch, and they called him Jones. So there was a little bit of a snafu by the broadcast team there. But I don't know what it is. It seems like the last handful of games, 2-3 weeks, they've got this obligatory Ronald Jones touch where they give him one touch and then get him right out of the game. Not sure what that's all about, but I'd like to say it's
one touch.
I'd like to say it's really frustrating, but it's one touch a game. So, okay, if that keeps the guy happy, I don't know what is going on there, but before we move on to the defense performance against the Broncos, I want to touch on Juju Smith-Schuster. Where's that guy been the last few weeks in the passing game?
Quiet, huh?
We talked about him in that 49ers game. He had a 2 or 3 game stretch there. We had over 100 yards and a touchdown. He had a big game against the Bills in week 5. And then he had another big game, like I mentioned, against the 49ers. But this last 3 weeks or so, really have not heard his name called a whole lot. What do you think's going on with Juju, Nick?
I think some of it is, I think there was 11 different people that caught a pass in that game, and Mahomes kind of said you're not going to have one guy that is going to be the guy all the time. Obviously, Travis Kelce typically gets his, but he also didn't have a very big game, which for me was surprising because he typically eats our division opponents alive. But I think that some of it is just they're playing the hot hand, and the hot hand right now is getting the ball to Jet McKinnon. And, I don't know. So maybe Juju is not getting open. The Broncos defense is really good too. But yeah, it's been kind of odd not seeing him get more targets, right? He's just hasn't been getting open. I haven't watched enough of the game tape after the fact to know if Mahomes just isn't looking his way or if he's just not getting open. Or snapping once, but I think they do just spread the ball around. I think they just go with whomever. So, hell, the Belldozer got a touchdown, right?
Yeah, Belldozer's back on the team. He was spent the first 3 quarters of the year hurt. So good to see that guy back. What do you think's going on? We got our man John V.
He's overshadowed by that angel tired legs.
Yeah, we put out the bat signal talking about Jarrett McKinnon. Here comes John V like clockwork. Good to see you, John. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. We got an announcement to make.
The best things I saw after that game was a comment on Reddit where somebody said, "You mean he can do more than get paid to rehab in your team's practice facility?"
Yeah. He definitely didn't work out as well with the 49ers as it's worked out for us. But that's a good point too, John. Juju's out there doing work and making some room for some other guys. So for sure. But it's just kind of surprising he's kind of gone quiet, kind of gone missing in the last handful of games here in the passing game. What do you think's going on with Juju, Bo?
When you're spreading the ball around to 11 different guys and yourself in one game, like it's hard to get 5-6 plus targets to everybody. You know what I mean? And I just think, I don't know. I think there's a way to rest players late in the season without overworking them and still having them play. And I kind of think that's what they're doing with a lot of our guys a little bit, like trying to rest them in games, not working them as hard, kind of like going to them as needed. But when Patrick does go to him, he's solid. 5 or 6 yard first down conversion. He can get a couple yards after the catch. I'm not too worried about his lack of production because it is there when Mahomes goes to him, but Mahomes is going to 11 different people a game. Like, hard to get more than four targets, and he's not dropping them. He's getting his 4 targets. He's getting 4 for 4. Just we'd like to see 7, 8, 10 plus targets kind of thing.
Mahomes is even throwing himself passes.
Right. Yeah. Nick, you mentioned Travis had kind of a quiet game. He had 7 catches for like 50 yards, which from the tight end position on 26 other NFL teams is a pretty good day, but I think teams are focusing on taking Travis away, especially down at the goal line, and that's what you're seeing. Jarrett McKinnon alluded to that in his post-game comments, which we just talked about a little bit when we were talking about the game he had and this stretch that he's on where he's really, really putting up some unprecedented numbers at the running back position. So Travis made the catch that sealed the game on 4th down. Money.
EMFK.
3rd down, you'd hate to punt the ball back, even if it was going to be with like less than 30 seconds. The Broncos had to use all their timeouts. Only up 3. You don't want to give the ball back to the other team. Travis made the game-sealing catch, put it on ice. So maybe not the 10 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown we're used to seeing out of Travis, but still a solid day from him. And made plays, big plays when it mattered. Patrick had the little shovel flip underhand toss pass to him that ended up getting a 1st down. So, Travis, if 7 for 50 is a slow day, that means you're doing pretty good 95% of the rest.
It's the exact same as us thinking Mahomes is a little off, having a 350 day, right? 60% completion rate kind of thing. Just like, man, they're just not the 99 club.
Right, exactly. But
yep.
real quick before we get to the defense in this game, since we got our guys Tony and John in the chat, we're going to be doing a playoff preview show with those guys on their channel, the Locker Room Rant, next Tuesday. Our guy Tony's a Bills fan. John V, obviously the king of Ohio Niners fans. We're going to be teaming up with them to do an NFL playoff preview show next Tuesday.
They are well aware we're going to be playing both of them in the playoffs, or at Super Bowl.
Right. So if you're not giving them a follow, and if you're not subscribed to their channel yet, go check them out. They're at Locker Room Rant. You can find them on Twitter. You can find them on YouTube. They do the wide world of sports. It's really funny. It's really good stuff. Them and John and Tony and their buddy Nico do a really great job. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to watching their show every Tuesday, every week. So, and they talk NBA, they talk soccer, American soccer, like, NFL football, baseball, whatever's
Christmas
going on
lawn
in the world of
decorations.
sports. What's that?
Christmas lawn decorations.
Christmas lawn decorations. Yeah. So give them a follow, give them a sub, check out their show, and make sure you tune in and catch us next week on Tuesday for our NFL playoff preview. We're just going to take a look at the NFL playoff field and get some in-depth analysis from the main contenders. The Chiefs, the Niners, and the Bills. You could throw the Eagles in there. I think those are like the big four that most people would say put your money on one of those four teams to come away with the Lombardi Trophy here at the end of the postseason. So check that out. We'll look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. So don't want to miss that. Defense in this game, let's shift gears a little bit. They give up 20 plus to the Broncos again. I want to say we've given up 2 of their 3 highest scoring outputs of the season. Little of that was I don't want to say not their fault, but the Tony fumble put them right down. I mean, not on the doorstep, but right up. I mean, they were on the sidewalk, right? Walking up to the doorstep.
Silver platter that
led to a touchdown. So maybe if Tony doesn't give him the ball right there in the red zone, maybe you hold him to 17. You feel a little bit better about that out of the defense. But they were getting stops early and getting the offense the ball back and giving them chances. What did you see? What stood out to you, Bo, about the defense overall? And then we'll get to some players and some key plays here in a moment. But how are you feeling watching the defense against the Broncos?
It's one of those things, like, I just don't feel like they practiced for the right things. They looked at the wrong things on tape, right? Because, like, there was some, like, really basic plays that just burned us, especially Russell Wilson just running, like, all right, guys, you did it once. Yeah. Let's keep that in our mind. He might do it again. And sure as shit, he did it again, right? Yeah. But, dude, I'm really liking, we kind of looked at these last 3 games as almost like practice games for our defense, because we know we're not going up against these like behemoths of teams, but they're still NFL teams. It's really hard to compete on any given Sunday kind of thing. But I'm really liking the guys that are rookies like Karlaftis and McDuffie. I'm liking what they're getting to do, what they're getting to experience, what they're getting to see. McDuffie with that huge strip stack right before the end of the half, right? That was pretty clutch. I like that they're actually starting to send him, blitzing him a little. Okay. That was cool to see instead of just having him in coverage all day. Karlaftis, in his press conference, made sure that everybody knows it's Karlaftis, not Karlaftis. Another sack, right? So it's like, 5 sacks last 5 games, or 4 out of 5 or something like that. Big for that. So liking the experience the rookies are getting, but like you're saying, just like how are we letting these terrible offenses just like kind of run all over us? I would like to see the turnover ratio kind of exchange in our favor a little bit more. But hey, it is what it is. They helped us out at the end. Yeah. Nick, what are you seeing from our defense?
You just real quick, you better make sure you're pronouncing the Greek names properly with Tony and John in the chat here, Bo. They'll be quick to correct you. So.
Tony and John are pretty easy, at least. So, yeah, I think that one of the things that we had discussed previously was that the defense is making some really nice plays, but they weren't making big plays at the right time. And you saw that, though, in this game where the Broncos had the ball in scoring position right before half. They were at least going to get a field goal. boom, strip sack, fumble recovery, took points off the board. At the end of the game, I mean, I was kind of feeling like the Broncos might go down and take it. I mean, beating a team 15 times in a row is really fucking hard, if not impossible, to do in the NFL, right? With the parity of the league. And when it really counted, who was it? It was Chris Jones getting out there and just making a big play when it counted. And I really thought that they were going to get a penalty. I thought they were going to throw a flag when he threw Russell Wilson to the ground. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, roughing the passer / what they should do here in a second. But I think that the defense really did make some big plays at key moments. Colin Saunders got in there for a sack. George Karlaftis has really come alive. McDuffie's looking really good. And if you look at it this way, I mean, they had the highest point total, but we served one touchdown up to them on a silver platter from special teams.
Completely.
And then another one, they got, kind of a make-a-wish touchdown from the referees, where it was really like, okay, well, third down, here's a first down. Oh, fourth down, you didn't get it. Well, here's another first down.
The same guy too, fucking Williams.
So I don't know. I was at the game, so I didn't see any replays. I heard that the hands of the face, especially on fourth down, was weak. I was sitting there the whole time. I could see the flag on the field, though. We got the interception, and everybody's cheering, and I'm just like, dude, like I can see the yellow in the secondary. There's no way that they're not going to give him a first down here. So, the defense really, I thought, played pretty well. They sealed the game for us when it really counted. And they got a turnover for us. I mean, a couple of turnovers. So kudos to them. You'd like to see the Broncos score less, but when we're turning the ball over, man, it's going to be tough times for our defense. So,
yeah, you brought up a couple of topics I kind of wanted to get into more detail here. The rookies, the first round draft picks, bro. Trent McDuffie. He fucking looked like Derek Thomas on that strip sack, man. Like coming around the backside in the arm chop as he's like got the cock the ball back, bro. He looked like DT out there, man. That was awesome. And Karlaftis gets the recovery. He's got 5 sacks in the last 6 games now. He's climbing up the rookie sack leader chart here, man. Making plays.
He had another batted pass too.
Had another batted pass.
Yeah.
He batted a pass down on 4th down in the Seattle game last week. It was huge to kill the drive. Those 2 picks, man. Those guys are looking solid. Those guys are looking solid as hell. That's really encouraging. I don't know what there was some talk about Chris Jones earlier in the week about how are we going to pay Chris Jones when we got positions of need, blah, blah, blah.
Pay Chris Jones.
Pay Chris Jones. I mean, do you hear the Rams saying, oh, I don't know how we can afford to pay Aaron Donald. We got these other positions. No. You when you get a game record at the defensive tackle position, you hang on to that guy. So
when 2 of their guys to 1 of yours, you definitely hang on to that guy, right?
Yeah. That guy, he came in. Nick, Chris Jones talked about that sack after the game there at the end where he's like, I had him earlier in the game and he's wiggling around and like I'm waiting for the referees to in the grass blow the whistle, but he's wiggling. I don't want him to get free. I'm trying to like set him down as easy as I can, but you have to worry about the body weight thing, and you have to worry about whether you're spinning them to the ground too hard or not. They've just put defensive players in a ridiculous position when it comes to tackling, sacking the quarterback. I didn't think that play wasn't a penalty to me. You're holding the guy up and he's trying to get away. You fling him to the ground. Russell Wilson is a strong dude. It's not like you can just pick him up and set him down easy and he's not fighting back.
That's what they want. That's what the NFL wants, though.
I guess. I don't know.
Especially with Chris Jones, especially with that guy. He has to tread on ice so lightly with what he does. He can't even talk to the other quarterback without getting a penalty, right? So imagine trying to like take a guy down, a full-grown man, professional athlete, trying to take him to the ground, and like you have to be as gentle as possible while doing it. Like, oh, dude, it's so frustrating to watch them try to tackle the way they're tackling right now. It's more like they want to roll them down instead of just hit them down. It's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, definitely frustrating.
It fucking cracked me up though. Chris Jones, and he's like talking, and he said, "Hey, you could feel him like wiggling." Like I just imagine being so big and strong. You've got a professional athlete wrapped up, and the term you use is wiggle. Like, oh, it's like a fish trying to like got my hands on him and trying to slip out of there. So I mean that cracked me up. But yeah, they got and he wasn't being nasty with the officials, but he's like, I'm doing everything you guys are asking me to do. And then
blow the whistle.
And he's got incentives, right? He's got incentives on his contract for how many sacks he gets. I guarantee that lost money because Russell Wilson was able to somehow flip the ball out. So I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. But yeah, you got to pay that dude, right?
Yeah, I got to keep Chris Jones.
Yeah, we there's no way we can let that guy leave our team.
Chris Jones is the Patrick Mahomes of the defense, right?
Yep, 100%.
So, got to find a way to keep that guy. They will. They'll get stone cold paid. Brenda was talking about Saunders and Frank Clark. Yeah, those guys had good games. Frank Clark, he's coming alive. Looks like maybe we're seeing playoff Frank showing up. He did say after the game too. He's like, it's boiling right now. It ain't boiled over. It ain't playoffs yet, but it's coming. He's like, it's boiling. Get ready. Here it comes. So that's encouraging to hear from that guy. If he can get his game up on another level to the next level, that'd be huge, obviously, in the pass rush. The rookies coming around. L'Jarius Sneed has another interception. The dude is all over the field in the secondary. He's locking down DK Metcalf last week. This week, he's picking the ball off. He's in there pressuring the quarterback. Dude is –
I think we held Judy to like 30 or 40 yards or something like that too. So
the defense definitely took that 3-touchdown performance a couple weeks ago to heart. They were not going to let that happen again. So pretty solid overall performance by the defense, even though they give up the 24 points. But like Nick said, they had the free touchdown drive there at the end that they had a 3rd and a 4th down stop negated by penalty. They got the ball given to them in the red zone on the special teams turnover, the fumbled punt there in the first half. Take those away, and it's a lot. It looks like a lot different performance from the defense. So, yeah, Dunlap's in there making plays, pressuring the quarterback. And a guy like Karlaftis, a young guy, is learning a lot from a grizzled veteran like Carlos Dunlap, man. How much knowledge is that guy getting just by playing with him on the line there, playing next to a guy like Frank Clark and Chris Jones? That's huge for a young guy. That's got to be exciting. That guy, dude, if I was him, I'd just being a sponge right now. Soak up as much as you can from those guys. But, yeah, anything else from the defense that stood out to you, either of you guys, Nick or Bo?
Man, I feel like I covered it. I just hope that it's that they can continue this against higher level competition, right? So
yeah,
it's really just what you saw the Seahawks. They had a pretty good game this week. So it seems like things are gelling on that side of the ball at the right time, and we don't really need a top 5 unit as long as they can hold the lead, right? That's the big thing, is we're going to hold the lead. It seems like, we get a lead and it seems like there's touchdown a lot. So as long as this defense can hold up and the offense can not go into a shell for, a quarter or a quarter and a half at a time, we got as good a shot as anybody going into the postseason. So it's looking like this team is shaping up. And just think about how ridiculous it is. We're pointing out all these things, but we're 13-3, right? Right. We're 5-0 in our division. So there's the ceiling on this team is so ridiculously high. We just really have to avoid the mistakes. And I don't feel like there's a team that can hang with us if we play our A game on
No.
both sides of the ball.
No, if the Chiefs play their A game and don't turn the ball over, and the referees don't give free touchdown drives out, they're handing them out like they're handing out Halloween candy. Chiefs are going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. Tough to beat. I don't care if it's at home or on the road, which we'll get to that here in a little bit. Before we move on from this game here, we get to our Chiefs Kingdom poll and talk about the game against the Raiders on Saturday. I thought it was clearly offensive pass interference. And what I found hilarious, all of the complaining that Chiefs Kingdom does about getting boned by the referees and just missed calls, and it doesn't seem like we're always on the wrong end of the calls from the referees. We finally get a call, and everybody's like, oh, we got lucky. That was a bad call. To me, he's in double coverage, and he clearly extends his arm to create separation to make the catch. Was it a Jamar Chase shove the dude out of the way to the ground and turn around and catch the ball? No, but I thought it was pass interference. What did you think, Bo?
Yeah, dude, when the players get up and look at the ref and they're like, hey, man, did you not see that? Like, there's plays where they get up and like, fuck, I fucking missed it, right? And they just get up and walk back towards the line of scrimmage. But this guy's just like, hey, that's the definition of it right there. I know it's not super egregious, but a foul's a foul. Like, no, I thought the same, man. It's what it is. I feel like we always have to play the team we're facing against and the refs. So most cases, right? Like we're generally the higher penalized team. Good Lord, if Sheffers is the reffing crew or he's the head, you know what I mean? Like what we get there, but for the most part, I feel like we're doing fine regardless of the penalties, right? Like our guys, they're so used to some BS calls now that I like that they just get in there and they don't really let it affect them and just kind of back to the grind mentality, though. But yeah, zero OPI.
If Carl Sheffers referees another game in Arrowhead Stadium, it's really good that they do like a security check and make sure they don't let anybody have any weapons into the stadium, because I'm not sure that dude would make it out. Nick, I know you kind of thought it was a weak call.
I'm not.
Pass interference.
I've seen much worse not called, was my point. I mean, I think by the rule it's a penalty, but I still think we were lucky they called it, because they don't call that. They just don't call out that kind of offensive pass interference. And I mean, I would have been fine with a no call there, but given the drive extension that they gave the Broncos, like I'm not upset about the call, obviously. Right. I think that by the letter of the law, yeah, it's OPI. And guess what? Like every single rule in the entire book is like tilted towards the offense getting the edge. And so I don't have any problem with them making that call there. I mean, it's not called often enough. There's been so many egregious, we have Brenda in here, right? Jamar Chase. Dude, the guy, he finally pissed the refs off when we played him. They called one on him, right? Because he was, taunting or whatever. But I mean, there are people that are making careers out of it, to be honest, where it's, I've heard the people even say, well, the defender, the receiver can shed the defender to get the ball. I'm like, what the fuck does shed the defender mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you mean you can interfere with the guy? No, you can't do that. Like
you can't interfere with him, right? But you can shed him.
Yeah. So I agree 100% that, that was a penalty, but what I was saying was I didn't think they were going to call it. I was surprised that they called it. I was happy they called it, but that's the way it is. So,
yeah, got our man Nico in the house. What's up, Nick? Good to see you, bro. Thanks for jumping on.
What's up, Nick?
Looking forward to talking to you next week about some playoff football. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's get to the poll here and then move on to the Raiders game. So the Chiefs currently win streak sits at 15 against the Denver Broncos. There are children that are in the first grade that have never seen the Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We've gone over this. iPhone 6 was the new gadget. Barack Obama was the president. Just wild to think about. But so this week's CKL poll, you want to throw it up there, Nick or Bo? One of you two?
Yeah, good.
I got it.
The Chiefs' win streak against the Broncos now sits at 15 games. How many games does it reach? After I sent this poll out, it was out for about a day or a half a day. I thought I probably should have stays at 15 as an option, but we threw out just assuming they're going to win because they always do, right? Mahomes is undefeated against the Broncos in his career. So there's no reason to think it's not going to go to at least 16. We got 16, 17, 18, 19 or more. Chiefs Kingdom's feeling pretty good about the win streak. I guess so that'd be 2 more years, right? I was not a math major in college, but by my math, that'd be 4 more wins, would be 2 more seasons. Sign me up for 2 more sweeps of the Broncos. You don't know what's they're in turmoil. They don't seem like they are going to get things turned around here very quickly. Maybe Russell Wilson has a resurgent year next year, but I was a little surprised that 19 or more got that much of the tally. Let's just go from top to bottom here. I think it gets to at least 18. So that's where I voted, was 18. Nick?
I voted 19 plus, barring any major injury. The Broncos, they don't have a bright future, right? They're kind of at their peak of what they're going to be right now. They don't have any, top line draft picks for the next few years. They're going to be crippled by Russell Wilson's contract. You don't even know who their head coach is going to be. They're not going to get a premium head coach talent in that organization right now because of the way.
You mean they're not getting Jim Harbaugh? I could have sworn they're getting Jim Harbaugh. That's what the news told me.
And Sean Payton.
Sean Payton
Oh, yeah, Sean
are going
Payton
to be co-head coaches,
Denver.
right? Yeah, I just see this wonderfulness for Chiefs fans. Just the party's going to keep going for a while. So I'm just hoping that we can get the NFL record there. So
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be ultimate bragging rights, bro. The all-time winning streak record against one of your division rivals. The only way it could be better would be, I guess, if it happened against the Raiders. But yeah, thanks to everybody who participated in this week's poll. If you're not following us on Twitter, go check us out, Chiefs Kingdom Live. Vote in the poll each week. We do giveaways and Twitter followers, and we have a lot of really cool people that follow us and that we follow on there. They're always putting out good things. We like to retweet stats, factoids, memes, GIFs, whatever. So it's a lot of fun. Go check us out there. Saturday, the game has been moved in Las Vegas. Chiefs, Raiders to close out the regular season out in the desert. How are you guys feeling about this game coming up against the Raiders, Nick? Well, Nick might be frozen a little bit.
Nope, he's moving. I saw his eyes
Come
move.
back. Let's go to you, Bo. Bo, how you feeling about the Raiders game?
Dude, I feel great about this Raiders game, dude. Everything going on over there, from Derek Carr being benched to just them announcing that they're going to be resting some starters, to looking at their injury report and Josh Jacobs probably won't be playing. I feel great about this game. Last week of the season, there's a lot on the line. We still don't know how this playoff seeds are looking and the implications with everything going on there, but
Yeah,
still a must win for us, right? Like, if we win this game, there's no question about what needed to happen on our side. So I like the Chiefs' position going into this game. I like that most of our players are healthy. There's a few injuries that kind of worried me on our side. Like Thuney got hurt, re-injured his ankle a little bit, but he's still practicing. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think his replacement's Allegretti, so I'm not too concerned. But still, that guy's he's so good on O-line, on a struggling O-line. So it kind of sucks to see anybody go down on that part of the field. But we kind of own the Raiders, so I'm looking great, dude. Fuck the Raiders, we got this. How are you feeling, Nick? You as confident as I am?
yeah, fuck the Raiders as well. I'm even more confident now that their season's officially over, right? So I was kind of worried that maybe they would have something to play for. Thankfully, the 49ers, John, appreciate you guys, squeaked one out. Stidham looked pretty good though. So, I don't know. It might be a closer game than we think, but our run defense has been pretty solid this year. So it's really just can we contain Devontae Adams and really just punish Stidham on from a pass defense perspective. So I'd love to get the division sweep. That would be huge if we could just beat go 6-0 in the division this year. We've got the 1 seed in play. I mean, there's a lot of implications here, and we just really need to win. And if we can't beat the Raiders with the 1 seed potentially on the line here, then I don't know what this team's doing. So
right. I don't know what you see this. It's kind of like the interim head coach thing too. When the backup quarterback comes in and starts a game, you see the team kind of rally around that guy, gives him a shot in the arm, a boost of energy. I think you saw that against the 49ers. But look, anytime you're going into a game where it's Patrick Mahomes versus Jarrett Stidham, you got to like your chances.
Yeah.
Raiders have nothing to
I think
play
Stidham's
for.
on their injury report too. I think he's got something up with his elbow and he's just doing limited practices. So
Yeah, they did take San Fran to OT, but again, I think you see that with the backup quarterback making his first start or an interim coach in their first game. Whatever that is, it seems like it motivates the team. They rally around the new guy, but I think that wore off a little bit. You saw Stidham make a pretty bad pass in overtime that cost them that game. Chiefs are owning this division. It's so funny talking about I don't get this whole Raiders where they're like they do this every once in a while. They jump up and people are saying that they could easily be the Vikings if they would have just hung on in a few of these one-score games. No, they're the Raiders. They suck. So I'm feeling pretty good about this game. The defense gets pressure on that young guy. We were talking about Karlaftis is turned the corner here, and he's getting a sack a game, almost 5 and 6 or whatever the number was. Chris Jones, Frank Clark starting to come alive a little bit. Put that guy under some duress, hit him a few times, knock him around, get the old Derek Carr treatment, get him rattled a little bit, get his confidence shaken early. They got nothing to play for. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to be laser focused. And if they could get the sweep in this division after all we heard in the offseason was this is going to be the best division in the history of football, and are the Chiefs the 4th best team in the AFC West now? And is Patrick Mahomes the 3rd best quarterback in the AFC? I mean, it just on and on and on. The mindless drivel that was going on national media and talk shows in the offseason. If you watch this show, though, you didn't hear any of that. There was never any doubt the Chiefs were going to be the class of the division. Chargers have kind of surprised me a little bit, come to life in one handful of games here in a row to stave off an elimination and have bought themselves a playoff berth. But, yeah, we go 6-0 in this division. Do you got your keys to the kingdom for this week, Nick? Did you get that thrown in?
real quick, let's bring up John's comment here. What if Carr was holding the Raiders back? Let's play a little devil's advocate. I don't think that he was. I just think the Raiders suck. I don't think Stidham's going to be replacing him by any means. But what if he was? What if Stidham comes in? He's like the Purdy for the 49ers.
Look, man, I think Derek Carr was holding the Raiders back. Derek Carr, I have never thought was an above-average quarterback in the NFL, even though he'd have a big game here and there, and he kind of had a lot of passing yards and would get a lot of like meaningless garbage time stats. There was a game in Arrowhead a couple of years ago where he got on fire and won a game, the infamous victory lap around the stadium game. But really, he's been an average to slightly or even maybe like a just full on below average quarterback. Turns the ball over, makes terrible decisions, gets hit, gets rattled, loses his composure easily. But I don't think that it's not like they're, even if he was holding them back, there you go.
No, man.
You're a Libra, aren't you, darling? So, yeah, I think that Derek Carr was holding the Raiders back, but I don't think they're going to like Jalen Hurts here with Jared Stidham.
Right.
So the holdback factor could have been there, but he's not. Jared Stidham is not the second coming of Joe Montana or Steve Young out there. So yeah, I don't. I think he was holding him back, but I don't think that really.
The point I was going to make.
I don't think they got much better either.
Right. Right.
Nick.
Right.
Sorry, my internet's been crappy. The question was Carr holding him back?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely was holding him back, but I don't foresee Stidham being a massive improvement. So, I don't know. He had a great game against the 49ers, but I mean, you see that all the time, right? You brought it up, Scott. They made a switch, right? You're going to see a lift. We talked about it last week with the Broncos getting interim head coach. Andy Reid even talked about it in his post-game press conference. I didn't know that they were 15-10, out in their first week interim head coaches in the league. So you see these things and you see temporary lift, but the thing is it's not long sustained. These guys have nothing to play for. They do really want to beat the Chiefs. So I'm not saying they're just going to totally lay down, but the Chiefs have everything to play for, and the Raiders have nothing to play for except for maybe their jobs for next year. And they've had a really disappointing year. They've got some inner turmoil. Davante Adams, he came to Las Vegas to play with Derek Carr, and now Derek Carr is not even with the team, right? He's at home. He said, hey, well, if you guys aren't going to play me, I'd like to not be a distraction, meaning F you. I'm not even going to come to practice. So they've got some inner turmoil. Josh McDaniels is not a good head coach. He's another one of those Tom Brady, Bill Belichick Millionaires Club guys that gets out and consistently seems to underperform and fail and screw up the teams that he coaches. So, look, everything's pointing towards the Chiefs winning this game. And until proven otherwise, I have no faith that the Raiders are going to upset the Chiefs here.
Yeah. Our man Brian.
I'm curious to get your guys' take on this real quick because Nick brought it up. Davante Adams was mentioning like Derek Carr was the reason I came here, yada, yada, yada. Do you think he's excited to even play anymore on this team? Do you think he's just like, oh, God, what did I get myself into now?
He can't be happy.
Right.
You go there to play with your guy from college, reunite, hook back up, and he's gone one season in. He got the bag, I guess, and he's getting paid. So, but yeah, I mean, the guy can't be thrilled.
You think he's like motivated to like go out there and like try to this week, essentially?
I don't know if he's motivated or not. He had a big game against the 49ers last week. So, but I mean, I think if you're the Chiefs, you shut him down, right? Just float L'Jarius Sneed on him and keep a safety over the top and don't let him beat you at big plays and make the rookie quarterback come out there and throw the ball to somebody else. I mean, they got Darren Waller, but he's kind of come back to earth this last year, although some of that was injuries. He missed time with injuries, so maybe he's not 100%. But, I'm not too worried about that, really. Davante Adams, I can't be happy. Nick?
I think he's going to play. I think he's a quality player that plays hard. I don't think that he's just going to quit on the team. I mean, you saw
John, you're just trying to ditch old Jimmy G off anybody you can, man.
No, haven't you heard it's going to be Tom Brady, man? Everybody's saying it's going to be Tom Brady there next year.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean,
so.
he's gonna play hard. I think that's who he is. He's a competitor. He wants to win, and these guys want to beat the Chiefs, right? I mean, we don't like the Raiders and they don't like us, and so they want to win. So it's going to be a game. I'm not saying that we're going to come out and just totally crush, but I just think that we have the much better team. We have Patrick Mahomes and they have Stidham, like you said, Scott. And I just don't think much of Josh McDaniels. I think he came to the Broncos several years ago He tried to do the whole same cheating bullshit that the Patriots did. He got busted, left there in embarrassment. And, you know, now he's got another AFC West team that he can run into the ground. So, yeah, I think we just need to really focus on containing Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, force that guy to throw to somebody else, and, you know, just get eaten up by Chris Jones and George Karlaftis and crew. So,
yeah, jump on them early, get them down, break their will early in the game. They got nothing to play for. That's going to be huge. Don't turn the ball over. I didn't catch you. Did you do Keys to the Kingdom this week, Nick?
Sorry, I was cutting out. No, I didn't do it this week. I was spending time with Madison since it's her birthday. I didn't want to. I'm already doing the podcast on her birthday, but I just wanted to spend time with her. So
priorities in order doing the podcast, man.
Oh,
right,
man.
no kidding. She's gonna have a lot of birthdays, man.
You guys can cut my salary in half for the show.
Right. And we got our man Brian's in the house. Good to see you, Brian. He made some good comments about Derek Carr not being a guy that can throw a team on his back. I think you've seen that.
Right.
So
I honestly kind of thought he was like a Stafford, like wrong quarterback, wrong team, or right quarterback, wrong team kind of situation.
Yeah.
Just like, man, if you got that guy some good weapons, he would probably be good. And then they got him great fucking weapons, and he was still just so poor. It's laughable.
Right. Well, let's just go through. What do we think? Since we don't have the keys to the kingdom this week, what do you think is going to be the biggest factor for the Chiefs to win the game, Nick?
Just the offense performing, right? And then getting pressure on the quarterback. I mean, I know that that's kind of simplistic, but I think a guy that's inexperienced, you got to throw him off his game. And, you know, then if our offense can consistently put up points, they're not going to be able to rely on a rushing attack. So, you know, the offense puts up points. We get that dude ruffled, and, you know, then it should just be a victory for the Chiefs, man. 14-3. That would be pretty crazy, given the way that we thought this season, you know, was coming in with the changes in the AFC West and everything to finish with 14 wins, the tied for the most wins in franchise history in a regular season. I know it's 17 games now, but that'd still be pretty cool, man. So,
yep. Bo, what do you think is the biggest key to the game for the Chiefs on Saturday?
Dude, for me personally, like Nick already said, turnovers, right? But like, I just want our special teams to just get their shit together, really, right? Like, it's not rocket science. Stand on the 10. If the ball's going over your head, you let it go. If you can run up to it and catch it, you can catch it. If it's one of those in between, you fair catch, right? Like, there's 3 options. Let's get that together, man. Like, I feel like that's kind of been like our shaky spot. Just one of those positions that just haven't been reliable all season, right? Like, whether it's the field goal unit, the punt return unit, man, it's just I want to see those guys. If we can get that ship corrected, I feel like we'll at least be in this game no matter what.
Yeah, Brian kind of stole my thunder there. Just don't turn the ball over. Go in there,
Right.
play smart football, play sound, disciplined, hang on to the ball, and, you know, get a takeaway or 2, get +1 or +2 in the takeaway battle in the turnover column, and Chiefs are going to win this game by 10 points or more. If they do like they did against the Raiders last week and throw an interception in the red zone and fumble a punt at the 15-yard line, I think you're going to be in for a close game. So we saw it against Seattle. They can do it. We've talked about this before, and I'd like to gauge what you guys think on the turnover thing. You know, last week when Tony had the punt, the fumble on the punt return, as soon as the Chiefs got the ball back on offense, the first play was a pass to Tony. And we've talked about this. Andy Reid is always going to go right back to his guys to build their confidence. Do we think – I mean, I know you guys have maybe been a little bit – I don't know, maybe not disagree is the right word to use, but I thought he's a little bit too nice with the guys sometimes when it comes to making mistakes. This has been a season-long issue. Do you think maybe look, man, you turn the ball over, you're going to sit would be a good message to send to this team at this point? How do you guys think about it? What do you think about that, Bo?
I feel like this year we're not plagued with turnovers like we were kind of last year in that sense. Like if we were turning over the ball running all the time, or like receivers were always tipping the ball and going up for interception, it'd be one thing. But this is just like special teams weirdness, dude. Like muff punts and like, just yards after catch. Like just go down when you get the ball. You're already doing it good. You got the ball secure. Go down sometimes. I feel like guys just kind of like struggling for those extra yards has been the reason we've turned the ball over in most cases. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know, man. Like, I think this has been like the worst turnover year of the Andy Reid era, right? Like,
you
they've had more
think?
turnover.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever been negative in the
No.
turnover differential for a season before. Like,
is that more us just not getting turnovers our way versus us actually losing them? Because I feel like last year we turned the ball over way more, like whether it's tip passes and fumbles like that.
They did have that kind of stretch where Patrick Mahomes was having the interception issue with tip balls and making bad decisions, but and we have not got as many turnovers ourselves, which definitely factors into the turnover battle. But I don't ever remember a season where we had a turnover, at least one every game. I mean, aside from the Seahawks game, when was the last game you can remember the Chiefs didn't have a turnover? A long time ago. Nick, what do you think? Do you think maybe Andy needs to change his approach coming down the stretch here, going into the playoffs? Or?
Well, Tony's newer to the team, so I don't know if that factors in or not. I don't know. It's hard to argue with results, right? He's won 12 games every year. He's had Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, but I don't know. I think that discipline breeds morale. Right, that's a quote that I've followed in my life that served me well, and I think that when people are undisciplined, bad things happen to them and those around them, and so I think that it's definitely like not saying that he's not disciplined, right? But I think that it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Like at what point is it not okay? And so it's frustrating. But they talked to Tony about it after the game, and they even said, Andy's a guy that he goes right back to people right after they make a mistake. And Tony's like, yeah, man, I just, I really appreciated that they didn't lose faith in me. Tony was on Twitter. He apologized publicly for the turnover. So I think he seems like he hits it, but it is frustrating as a fan to see this. Just like we can't just keep doing this at this clip. It's going to, I mean, if we do that, if we have a bad interception and a lost punt return in a playoff game, our odds of winning that game are going to be sub 25%.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to,
would you agree?
You need a Mahomes miracle game is what you're going to need.
Yeah. So it's really, but I don't know. So that's just kind of like his MO. And I think that's what he's going to continue doing. So, we just got to hope it doesn't cost us.
Right. Yeah. Since you guys kind of went, I'm going to say, like, if turnovers are 1A, 1B to me is getting pressure on that young quarterback and beating him up a little bit and getting him rattled and not giving him time to stand back there, find the open guy, not let him feel comfortable, get him in there, hit him, throw him around a little bit. Don't make it easy. Don't let him stand in the pocket and for 4 or 5 seconds and find the open receiver. Get to him quickly, pressure him, get him rattled, and I think that's going to be huge for the defense.
Scott, are you on the Belichick school of thought though? If somebody turns it over or fumbles, let them sit and think about it before you immediately go back to him?
I don't have a problem with what Andy does necessarily with the going right back to the guy and build his confidence if it's a here and there thing. But this is plaguing this team this year. And so I think you'd even get more value out of it if you're a guy like Andy that isn't normally like that, if the guys on the team saw someone get benched for the rest of the game because they fumbled the ball, I think that would send an even stronger message than maybe if that was normally what you did. I've always believed in positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement for anything. When someone does good, give them but when they screw up, let them know they screwed up. That's fine. You want to go back to a guy, but I mean, when you got guys fumbling the ball over and over and over every game, 1 or 2 or 3 fumbles, turnovers, at some point you got to kind of like get on them and say, look, man, this is unacceptable.
It's hard when it's like, it's not the same person though doing it over and over. It's like this guy one week, that guy the next week. And I know what you're saying, but it's like, how do you bench one guy one week when then the next week it's a different guy kind of thing, right? And then we don't have Sky Moore returning punts anymore, thank God. But is this going to be a problem with Tony now? Like, yeah, I know what you're saying. There needs to be a message sent, but it's like it's hard to do it when it's not just you can't just identify where it actually is occurring.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I remember when I was a kid and Nick would get in trouble. That shit got my attention. I was like, I ain't doing that. That didn't look fun. You know what I'm saying? But so anyway, yeah, it's just one of those things where they just got to get it taken care of. And if what you've been doing isn't working, maybe change it up and see if that works. You got to try something different. But, and I also realized that some of the turnover issue has been Patrick Mahomes with the interceptions, especially the 3 turnover game against the Broncos. But I mean, you're not going to bench Patrick Mahomes. So I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt there.
He also has 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. So,
yeah, but he's not the MVP, right?
Have you seen the people like questioning how good he is because he has 10 interceptions? Like Derek Carr has 10 interceptions. He got benched. Dak Prescott has 12, right? And you're like, what are we talking about, guys? What are we really talking about here?
Yeah, does Derek Carr and Dak, do they have an MVP? Do they have a Super Bowl trophy? Have they ever thrown for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns? I mean, they were showing the 5,000 yards passing and 40 passing touchdown stat. He joins Tom Brady and Drew Brees as the only players to do it more than once in their career. And those guys, Tom Brady's played for like 20 years or whatever, and Drew Brees played for like 17 seasons. Patrick's already done it in his 5th year?
5th, yeah. 6 technically, but yeah, 5th.
Hey, look, man, if you're going to throw 40 or 50 touchdowns, I'll take 10 interceptions.
The same people that are sitting there
4 or 5 to 1 is still a good ratio.
Yeah, both the same people that are making those comparisons, like their next video on their channel is probably like why the earth is flat.
Yeah, exactly.
I have proof.
Exactly.
They believe the videos. Tom Brady made a hole-in-one, man. It's on his video. It's on his Instagram.
Right. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the game Saturday. Should be fun. Chiefs Raiders is always a fun game. I always get hyped up for that. I believe Laney might have been at the Chiefs Raiders game at Arrowhead. That was a wild, raucous crowd. Expect to see a lot of Chiefs fans in Las Vegas this week. I really want to go to a game out there sometime. That'd be a lot of fun. Just go out there for 4 or 5 days, chill in Vegas, go to Chiefs game, and that sounds like a good time. But
once nosebleeds aren't $700, I might consider it.
So I have an interesting question here from John. Would you rather have someone treat you like a father Andy or a boss Belichick?
There's got to be a middle ground in there somewhere.
I don't know.
I feel like Andy is the middle ground. We just don't see it, right? Like I feel like we see him giving all these opportunities, but I bet you he puts him in check real quick. Would you want to get chewed out by Andy Reid? I bet you that guy has like a switch.
No,
whoa. Oh man, sorry, sir. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
dude's intimidating.
What would I rather have, or what do you think? What do I think would be better for me? I'm going to want the coach that's going to be a little bit easier on me. But at the same time, it might be better for someone to come in and say, man, we're not going to put up this nonsense. You don't hang on to the ball, you don't play. I'm not saying like cut some guy from the team, but I mean, if you're Pacheco and you fumble the ball, we're going to roll McKinnon. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just an interesting and I'm not saying I know the answer. Maybe one is just as good as the other. It's 2 roads to the same city. I don't know. But I just know what they've been doing this year isn't working because it's continued to be a problem, and it's an issue that has really not been this big of an issue in the past. But it's going to bite them. Get straight up. Look at the Seahawks game. Look how easy that game was when we didn't turn the ball over.
Right.
The Colts game, if we don't turn the ball over, we probably win that game, and we're not even worried about playing this game this week, right? So get it straightened out. Do whatever they need to do to get it taken care of. The Chiefs with a win. Let's talk about playoffs here for a little bit coming up. Right around the corner.
Playoffs?
2 weeks away. Chiefs are playing for the 1 seed still. Playoff field is pretty wild right now in the AFC. Teams that could get in, teams that couldn't. Some teams we thought were going to be there looking like they're probably not going to be there. Some teams we didn't think were going to jump up in there have gotten in. Right now, I believe the playoff seeding would be, and of course, there's the whole situation with this Bills-Bengals game, what they're going to do there. It's really hard to tell what the NFL is going to do. It may depend on how the games go this week. If the Patriots beat the Bills in a must-win game and the Chiefs win against the Raiders, the Bills or the Bengals couldn't catch the Chiefs anyway, so maybe they just decide maybe the outcomes of those games influence their decision. Maybe they don't. It'd be interesting to see where they go there. It's hard to speculate. I've seen so many different scenarios tossed around out there on social media and in the sports channels. So right now, the Chiefs would be the 1, Bills would be the 2, Bengals would be the 3, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The winner of that game is gonna get that 4 seed. The Titans or the Jags. I think the Jags are gonna pull the win off personally. So I think you're gonna have Jags at 4, Chargers. I think probably creep up to the 5. Then you're gonna get the
Ravens.
Ravens would be the 6 right now, and the New England Patriots would be the 7. I thought the Patriots were dead a few weeks ago. I didn't think there was any way, and they might still be dead. The Bills are going to be motivated to come out and play, and they smoked the Patriots a few weeks ago already, so that doesn't mean that they will again.
They could be. There's like weird math where like
Sure.
Patriots could get eliminated. I think it's like Dolphins and the Steelers are still alive. Maybe
Yeah,
even
Dolphins and
Titans?
Steelers, yeah, they're alive, but they're the teams that need help. So, like, the Dolphins need to win and the Patriots need to lose kind of thing. So, those are the
That's
teams
not
I
too
gave you right
far-fetched.
now. There's win and they're in scenario. How are you guys feeling about the playoffs and the way the playoff field is looking right now? Anybody that catches your eye, maybe thinks a bad matchup, anybody you would like to see in the playoffs? How are you feeling, Nick?
It definitely feels in the AFC at least like a 3-team race. You know, you'd be hard pressed to say if you had to bet money that one of the 3 teams, either the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Bengals, 2 of those teams were going to be in the AFC Championship versus the other, 4 teams, you'd probably bet your money on those 3, right? So
Easily.
that doesn't mean that that's definitely going to happen. The Chargers are a team that has a really good quarterback that can be dangerous if they play up to their potential. But, I feel like the Ravens, I don't know, is Lamar Jackson, is he going to play? Is anybody hurt?
What it looked like today on TV. I mean,
Yeah.
It's the news that I heard.
So he's a guy, he's been in the playoffs, he's got experience. He's won a playoff game. So, that you can't count them out because that guy's pretty electric when he
He's pretty
plays.
good.
Huh?
I said he's pretty good.
Oh, I thought you said you could count him out. I was like, yeah, you could.
Yeah, count him out, dude. They got to play us at some point, if anything.
Yeah, so I mean, it just really feels like it's going to come down to how that all plays out with the Chiefs and the Bills in Cincinnati. And I don't know. I'm not going to speculate too much on how that's all going to shake out because the league will just have to figure that out on their own. They may just play out this weekend to where it's irrelevant, and then they don't. It doesn't need to look at what's fair, most fair, whatever. But it's looking like it's going to be a really good playoff field. On the NFC side, it sure looks like the Vikings are collapsing, right? I think they have like a negative, point differential now for the season. They're kind of like the Raiders are kind of like the anti-Vikings this year, if that makes sense, where it's like if the Raiders had won all their close games, they'd be the Vikings. Does that make sense?
That was them
And
last year, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the Packers, they're a winning in, right? So
Yeah.
so that's Aaron Rodgers could make some noise in the postseason. Tom Brady's going to get a home playoff game. The Eagles, they're hard to figure. They've been a really solid team, but they've been giving me like the first year of the first whole year of Lamar Jackson Ravens vibes all year. I've kind of felt like they're that team that they're coming out and they're just destroying people, and they have these huge point differentials. And I don't know. I don't know if it's going to translate into the postseason or not. So Jalen Hurts, he's an asterisk there. And then the Cowboys, I have a hard time making sense of the Cowboys. I don't know if you guys do too, but it's like I can't tell if they're good or not. So the NFC, I mean, it's the most dependable team there is crazy. It's because it's the team that really doesn't have a quarterback. I mean, they've got like a cardboard cutout at quarterback and Purdy, and he's been playing well enough to win. He marched down the field and a couple of times in the Raiders game when their defense was given up. So, I mean, it's looking like it could shape up to be a rematch of the Chiefs and the Niners. How crazy would that be?
That would be nuts.
That'd be fun. I'd take it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Did you give your? I had to step off. I had to jump off here for a second.
No, I was going to say there's the playoff picture for us, right? Like with everything going on, obviously with Hamlin being injured and everything going on with that game being postponed. I think the Chiefs just need to kind of stay focused on what their task at hand was, and that was win out, right? Like let's just assume something will happen to where we just still need to have the same goals and just win out.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to say with everything going on in the AFC with that game until they announce what's going on, like what really is going to happen. But the way it's shaping up now, dude, I would love if it just kind of went through. Obviously, we'd be playing like the Patriots, maybe one of those teams we talked about, the Dolphins, the Steelers, or the Titans, kind of sneak in there. Maybe I'm okay with any of those teams. I would prefer not the Dolphins out of all of them, but give me the Patriots any day in a playoff game. I'll take that. But, I mean, it's looking like we might actually get that 1 seed. So that would be I would prefer, kind of watching the first week of the playoffs, not having to worry about them kind of thing. Nick brings up a good point in the NFC, though. Like, what a crazy race over there. Brought up the Eagles. That's interesting with Jalen Hurts being hurt, kind of like resting. I don't know if they are doing that intentionally almost. It seems like I've heard speculation that they're intentionally resting him right now, having clinched it. But with that number 1 seed on the line, I don't think they would really make that move.
No.
Who knows? But if he comes back for the playoffs, you still got to worry about that team, even though I do agree with what you're saying about the Ravens vibe with him. 49ers, though, I know John V's in the chat. Looking good, dude. Looking dominant. I wouldn't be surprised if it was us in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I don't know who the 49ers are on a pretty good win streak right now, but who have they beaten in that win streak? I mean, the last contending team that they played was the Chiefs, and Chiefs beat them by what, 20? I don't know what to think of the 49ers with a 7th round quarterback, game manager type situation.
John.
I mean, I'm not trying to throw barbs at John. I'm just like, I just don't really know what to think of them.
If the Giants can beat Philly, the 49ers get the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too tall of an order with Hurt. Is Hurts out? Still?
He's got to play, man.
For that, yeah, it's too coveted a position for them to rest him, right?
Yeah, he's got to play. In the AFC, I don't really look at – I'm not really worried about any of the teams, really. I'm worried about the Chiefs. We've talked about this all year. Like, when the Chiefs lose, it's because they make a bunch of dumb mistakes and lose the turnover battle and miss field goals. The Bills needed a 4th quarter comeback to beat us earlier in the season. Chiefs, they got down to the Bengals early and still had the lead in the fourth quarter, marching down to go up at least 7 or 11 points there and make it a 2-possession game. And Travis Kelce fumbles the ball.
Right.
It's nuts.
I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Raiders, and they're going to get the 1 seed, is how I see this playing out. I think they're going to get it. And if that's the case, then you're probably only having to look at beating one of those 2 teams, the Bengals or the Bills at home. I know a lot of people are worried about playing the Chargers, it seems like, for some reason. They'll be on a long winning streak if that's the case.
I'll address that because I feel like I brought that up last week. I'm not worried about the Chargers. It's just like, they just tend to be one of those teams that play us so incredibly close that it would just be like, I'd rather not have that game versus any of the other
No, I
teams.
understand. Yeah, and I wasn't necessarily referencing you. There's a lot of people on social media that are like anybody but the Chargers. I'm not worried about playing the Chargers in the playoffs at home. I'm not with that coach and Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs, they got the Chargers number, right? I mean, they swept them this year. Yeah, the games were kind of close, but, Chargers lost to the 49ers. I guess that's a good win for the Niners now that I think of it. I wasn't thinking about that game a few weeks ago. That just kind of popped into my head there. But they lost to the Niners. They got swept by the Chiefs. Who have they beaten that's really like one of the contenders in the AFC? I don't know that they've beaten anybody.
I don't think they
really
have.
that's like a top caliber playoff team this year. So look, it's the Chiefs to play their A game and go out and beat the Raiders. And I believe they're going to get the 1 seed if they do that. If they were to replay this Bengals-Bills game, Bengals were kind of taking it to the Bills. I know it was only 5 or 6 minutes into the first quarter, but it was 7-3 and the Bengals had the ball and were moving again. So I'm not worried. Like the Ravens, just shut down Lamar Jackson. That's all you got to do. Don't let him beat you with his legs running the ball. Make him beat you passing, and you've got that in the bag as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, it's an interesting playoff field. What do you guys think about a couple of these teams? Do you think the Dolphins sneak in, or do you think the Patriots get it done and get the 7th seed? Who do you think gets that 7, Bo?
Who are the Patriots and the Dolphins playing this week?
The Dolphins play the Jets and the Patriots play the Bills.
Ooh, dang. Well, I mean, there's obviously there was a sentiment about some of those games before last week versus this week, but the Jets they're surprisingly like a team, right? Like you never know what you're going to get with that team this year, right? Like they play some teams hard and then they get smoked by others. I preferably would like to see the Patriots make it and us play the Patriots. That'd be fun. I always kind of like beating up that whole dynasty they had, and they were just so dominant for so long. It still feels good to watch them lose a little bit, even though it's not even the same team or anything. It's just like people are gonna be saying that about us, I know, here in a couple of years, but it feels good.
Well, they already are. I mean, you hear that all the time. But Nick, who do you think sneaks in there? That's 7. You think it's the Patriots or the Dolphins?
Man, it's hard to picture that the Bills are going to lose to the Patriots, but they did it last year, right? So
yeah, wasn't that weird game where it was like 50 mile an hour winds?
Right. Yeah. So
they threw 2 passes or something all game.
I mean, aren't they hoping that their second string quarterback can play this game?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I don't know. It's going to be tough for them to win. The Jets defense is really good, but the Jets are kind of like the Broncos where they just don't have a reliable offense. And that's really what's hurt them this year because, Sauce Gardner has been crazy good. Their defense has been really good. They got Salah from, he came from the 49ers. He was their coach again, in that crazy good defense against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So, I don't know. It's hard to pick a winner of that game, but I would say that if I had to put money on it, I would say probably the Patriots, just because what's the situation? If they both lose, then the Patriots are still in.
Well, there's some crazy scenarios if they both lose. Like the Steelers could get in.
It becomes like other game dependent if they both
Right.
lose. Like,
it gets wild. I think one of those two teams is going to win and get in, though.
Yeah. Well,
and
I mean, if you have to pick one to win
quarterback.
and get in, let's go Patriots. Just, I mean, sorry, Bills, bros. But I would go with the more experienced coach in that situation with the team that isn't on a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if I had to put money on one of those two games, I'd put money on. If someone said you had to put money on the Patriots beating the Bills or the Dolphins beating the Jets, I'm putting my money on the Dolphins, just because of the Bills factor, right?
right. No, the Bills are really good.
So it's gonna be interesting. There's a lot of the 17th week. It's created some drama, uneven number of games. Lots of teams are still alive. Who are the home teams? That's a good question. I don't know that. What are you guys able to look that up?
Yeah, I'm looking up.
I think the Bills play at New England and the Jets play at the Dolphins. Is that right?
No, it's at Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. At Buffalo. Where's the Dolphins? Where are you at?
I thought the Dolphins already played at the Jets earlier this year.
At Miami and at Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to take the Dolphins at home if I have to pick one of those two teams.
Yeah, after all the turmoil, it's probably hard pressed that the Bills are going to lose at home, right?
Right. Well, not only that, but I mean, talking about the Dolphins playing a backup quarterback, the Jets are playing Zach Wilson or their backup quarterbacks. It's not like they got a huge advantage at quarterback there with Tua being out. Just run the ball with Mostert and Tyreek Hill and throw short passes to the Cheetah and Jalen Waddle. That's a winnable game. That's a much more winnable game, I think, for the Dolphins than the Patriots. That's all. So it's kind of a toss up in there, but John C. He doesn't like the Pats, but it's gonna be interesting. Playoff. Well, I'd say we'll know next week, but maybe we won't, depending on what they do with this postponed game.
Right.
It's gonna be wild coming down the stretch here. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, just the injury report for the Chiefs real quick. Like, I know we kind of mentioned Tooney kind of hurt his ankle again. I feel like that's just huge. But we had some guys like Sky Moore was on there with a laceration. He didn't practice on Tuesday, had very limited practice today, so it's kind of questionable he's going to be in the game. Nick Bolton had like a rib injury, but I guess he's been a full participant at practice. And then somebody brought it up in the chat. Harrison Butker didn't practice today. We were talking about how
back spasms,
inconsistent our special teams have been. What's that?
What, back spasms? Is that what Brian had said earlier?
Yeah, I think that's what Andy Reid said, that he wasn't able to practice due to back spasms. So is that of concern of you guys at all? I mean, Butker was so reliable last year. I was watching some highlights last year, just like, God, he was so money. This year, I don't have as much faith in him. And now that he's hurt, I'm just like, oh, great. We're going to have this dilemma again where Snead might be kicking some kicks for us.
Yeah. No, I mean, Butker is one of the most accurate kickers in the history of the NFL going into this season, and especially on long kicks.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a holder situation. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't. And Justin Reed can kick short field goals and extra points. Maybe just go for two if Butker can't go. Let's go for two after every touchdown.
I thought that at the game.
What's that?
When I was sitting there at the game, I was just like, just go for two.
Yeah, I'd like to see shit. You never know. Maybe the last
the Steelers, they used to do that. They used to go for two like every single time.
Yeah, Steelers.
Fascinating.
Steelers did that. Look, it's one of those things to me where maybe the last game of the year with the 1 seed riding on it isn't the best time to try that experiment out, but I'd like to see it at some point and just see what happens. I mean, look at it this way. If the Chiefs score 4 touchdowns in a game, you only got to convert 2 to make it even, right? I mean, 2 2-point conversions would be just like kicking 4 extra points.
And the stats are you
go
make
3
1
for
out of
4,
2.
if you go 3 for 4, you come out ahead. So
the stats are that you make 1 out of 2. So I mean, it's not a bad experiment to run.
Yeah. Our short yardage game as a team, though, this year has not been super great.
Man, the run game hasn't, but the screen game and Patrick Mahomes running and the trickery, tight end sneaks and things like that have been pretty decent. So I don't know. I know our guy Brian is bringing up our red zone efficiency has been down here lately. But that's like factoring out the red zone, man. You get the ball at the like 19, that's a red zone possession. You still got fucking 20 yards to go to get a touchdown. So 2-point conversion to me is 2 yards. They're not giving you the ball at the 18 and expecting you to score a touchdown. So to get into the end zone, rather. Be interesting to see. I like to see how it goes. But
2 for 2, who cares?
Butker having spasms. Do you think it's on the holder or on the kicker? Bo?
Oh, dude, there's been like 50-50 this year, right? Like, ask Dustin Colquitt, it's on the holder. Ask anybody on the team, it's on the kicker.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We saw it play out last week where the holder or Townsend, just missed the snap and tried to run it, then just got obliterated in that game. I don't know. I would lean more on the holder at this point. From the photos and the evidence I've seen a lot of laces in, laces to the side, and we all know it's laces out, Dan. So I would kind of lean towards the holder. But at the end of the day, I feel like a kicker's got to practice kicking the laces. He's got to practice kicking the pump hole and kicking every inch of that ball to where you're like, if this comes up in a game, you're going to be able to handle it. So 50-50 for me. What about you, Nick?
I blame the kicker. You got to figure it out, man. You got to figure it out. You got to get the ball through. I mean, the guy, like, I don't know. I get that, like, when Townsend fumbles the snap, obviously that's on Townsend. But I mean, you're telling me because the guy had the ball here instead of here, you shank it like super crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
The kicker is the dude that is in the most control, in my opinion. And I've heard kickers say, well, whether the laces are in or they're out, like you gotta like get it through the uprights, And so, I mean,
I think that's guys being a good teammate, not one to throw the holder under the bus more than anything.
Well, this is people that were kickers.
Butker's been money
anymore.
What's that?
I said these are guys that were kickers that are not like playing anymore. That they're like, nah, it's just like, dude, like you got to get it through. Like it's your job to kick the ball through. I don't know.
Yeah, to me, Butker has been one of the most accurate kickers in the history of the NFL. We bring Townsend last year too. He's kind of dropped off. You got Dustin Colquitt out there saying he's holding the ball wrong, facing the laces the wrong way, not putting it down at the target spot. I'm putting more of it on Tommy Townsend than I am on Harrison Butker. Butker could be injured too. I mean, he got injured week 1 in Arizona where he slipped and fell on the kickoff. And they said a few weeks ago or maybe half of the season he might not get to 100% all year. So maybe that's going on. I'm sure it's probably a little bit of both. It's probably a little bit of both. It's probably some on the holding and some on the kicking, but I'm going to go more on the holding.
I mean, hasn't the Butker missing extra points been a thing for more than 2 seasons?
I don't know.
We did establish the phrase the Butker fade, right? Where like he stopped hitting darts down the middle and it just said, "Ooh, right in the upright, right in the upright."
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just being, unkind, but I feel like
I just wanted to disagree with you. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Totally. So I don't know. I'll tell a story to make everybody laugh at me real quick, and then we can. I don't know. Maybe we haven't picked our points yet. So Laney here is saying, Nick, your audio sounds much better. So I don't know. People who've been watching for weeks may have noticed that like my mic was here and it's here, and then I moved to here. I had the pop filter. I had no pop filter. I got a gigantic one. I bought this new microphone, and like I listened to my audio and I'm like, dude, something just sounds fucked up with my audio. And so I've been trying to move it. I'm like, Bo, like you went to school for sound engineering. Can like you help me out here? And he's like, well, maybe like you're too close or you're too far away. So go test it. So I'm sitting there and I've got headphones in and I'm monitoring it. And I'm like, still sounds weird. And so like I look up a video. I've got a Rode NT1. I spent quite a bit of money on it. And so like I'm watching this video about how to set it up and how to use it. And it sounds kind of muffled. And then like I move my arm and all of a sudden, like, dude, it sounds like super clear. And so like I like look, well, like the microphone, like it's symmetrical, right? And so then like I noticed that there's like this like metal dot on one side and it's on the other side. So then I like Google it real quick and it's like the gold dot is the front of the mic. Dude, I've been talking into the back of the
It
stupid
says on the back of the mic, face
for
this
like
direction.
2 months every week, and that's why my audio sounded all messed up. So that's why Elaney had that comment in there. So
Why is it all crackly?
But you're gonna laugh.
Well, it's all staticky and crackly tonight. I don't know if that's just coming through on my end or whatever, but maybe that's your internet connection. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it is. So
could be. Anyway, that's pretty funny. Yeah, the audio sounds better.
Typically helps when you talk into the right direction of a microphone.
Yeah, it works. It works a lot better when you use it right.
Right, no doubt. Chiefs at Raiders. You're right. We didn't do a score prediction. We moved on without getting the predictions in. If you're in the chat, let us know what you think the final score is going to be. Chiefs, Raiders. Bo?
Whew. Put me right on the spot. Let's just go with a, I can say 50 burger. 1-1. I've been saying that for like 17 weeks. It just doesn't look like it's in the cards. But I could see 3-4 touchdowns being scored. So let's go. Let's go 32-21, us.
32. You're going to be going for some 2-point conversions.
Yeah, we're going for it. Who cares? As John V said, let's just do it.
Yeah,
all game.
I'm for it. Nick?
I'm going to go Chiefs 34, Raiders 24.
34-24. I'm going 31-14.
There you go. I
think the defense gets to the quarterback. So, John, they're average 30 points a game, man. I don't understand why it's so.
Well, part of that is we put up over 40, right? So,
right,
kind of boosted our average a little bit.
Curious to think what the chat would predict the score to be.
Yeah. John V's on 27-14. I mean, that's only a field goal different than my pick. I don't get me busting my ass here about.
Well, we did just talk about Bucker being hurt and his inconsistencies on the season. So there's that field goal.
Right.
38-17. John C. Yeah, my man. I like it.
For it. I'm all about that.
Me too.
LA, I think it's LV though.
Whatever. It don't matter.
I was giving it to him.
They're always LA, right? I mean, it's always the LA Raiders. They should have never left Los Angeles. There we go. Brian's feeling confident about it. Looking good.
After a trash time touchdown, too.
Yep. Our guy John always picks KC. That he does. I mean, if you pick them every week, you're going to be right 3 times more often than you're wrong. So
that's true. They win a lot of games.
That they do. It was a set of – it's like what, they're only like the 3rd or 2nd team in NFL history with 5 straight 12-win seasons or whatever that stat that was going around there was. Pretty crazy. They're going for 14 wins this year. Vegas over-under to start the season was 10.5. I wish I would have put money on that.
I was thinking about it. I think in our preseason picks, I think you guys picked 13 wins and I picked 14. Wasn't that right?
I'd have to go back through and watch. I wasn't thinking about that.
I'm pretty sure that
we did that.
I think I picked 13. Yeah, so like stoked that we're going for it, going for better.
We need to go back and watch that and see what the prediction was. Laney's 32-14. 14 is popular number
in here. I like it.
I'm liking it too.
14 times this year. Dude, 14 wins in a season. That's insane, man. looking at
That's
a
a good year.
14-win season potentially. So,
Yep, 14 win year is good, even with 17 games.
Yeah, we were talking about this record earlier, and I was thinking back to like, remember being a Chiefs fan and like they made the playoffs, so you like run out and buy like lottery tickets and stuff. You're like, this year's gonna be the year, and then just oh man.
I still remember people sending memes on the Halloween with the kid with the bucket of candy. It's like, oh man, I got Chiefs tickets. Like that's how
Right.
bad they were.
Right. Yep. Gonna be a good game. Gonna be fun to watch. Chiefs Raiders, one of the best rivalries in the NFL. And I don't care. People say, oh well, the other team has to win some important games. They have to play in big games for it to be a rivalry. No, it does. No, they don't. Your rival's your rival, and part of being a rival is smashing your rival down and holding them down and keeping them in mediocrity, which the Chiefs have done with the Raiders here the last handful of years. So big rivalry week 18, final week of the season. Then we'll be doing some postseason football, CKL playoff editions. Don't forget, next Tuesday, we're going to be joining John V and Tony and Nick on the Locker Room Rant for an NFL playoffs preview show. Talk about the playoff field. It should be set. Fingers crossed that it's set by Tuesday. And we can take a look at the field and break down the analysis and make some picks. So really appreciate everybody that joined in. Send us a comment, send us a question. John C., Brenda, Brian, John V., Tony, Nick, Laney. I know we had
Race car was in there. Thanks,
Race
guys.
car was in there. I know we saw I Hate the NFL was back this week. Good to see them.
Oh, yeah.
So always a lot of fun. If you haven't clicked like yet, if you haven't clicked subscribe yet, do that now. We'd appreciate it. Helps us out, helps us grow the show. Chiefs Raiders. And until next week, let's go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs, fuck the Raiders.
Jacobs. Carr is under center. Still 14 seconds on the play clock. Chiefs trying to run blitz. Their Carr is going to throw a play action. Here comes a blitz. They throw it to the left side. Incidental contact. The pass is overthrown. It is incomplete. I'm looking for flags. I see none. The Chiefs have held on 4th down and 1 on a blitz on Carr at 41 seconds to go in the game. And that